Welcome everyone to Factory Town. This game is going to have a lot of similarities to other games we've played here on the channel, which means that we can have a lot of fun with this game. This is a very nice, relaxing gameplay from what I've seen so far, and I can't wait to get started. But before we get in there, I want to tell you that this game was recently released through early access on Steam. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner, we're currently on version 0.087, so very early on in the development, but I can tell you there is already a lot to do and a lot of fun to be had. Before we get into the gameplay itself, let's go to the options menu. We've got our basic options here: audio, video, interface, and some control options. Very quickly through the audio options, I've turned off the music for the purposes of our videos. Otherwise, your basic options are there. Same thing under video. For the most part, these are all on the defaults. VSync is off. Anti-aliasing is on. Shadows are on high. That sort of thing. So not a whole lot of options to really worry about there. The interface, again, you can see some different options you've got there. The ability to turn the tutorial messages on or off, as well as the launch tips and the pop-up tips. So right now we're going to leave all of this on, and we're going to head our way back and choose New Game. So you've got several options to deal with on these maps. You can choose everything from the size to the look of the maps, whether you've got water on the map, or if so, how much water. So as we scroll out a little bit, you can begin to see the size of a medium map. Okay, there's what we're going to be dealing with, and of course, what we're actually going to be looking for is going to be a much smaller radius than that. But you've got several starting biomes that you can look at. Not all of these are necessarily fleshed out here in early access, but you can see there are a lot of biomes, as well as the map sizes go from small, medium, large, or infinite, which is always nice. Creative mode right now is turned off. Auto place your base. This is at the very start. Now, by default, this is on, and that will automatically place your base or your head of operations and your primary storage for early on. It'll automatically place it on the map for you. We're going to turn that off so that we can place it on our own. And then you can smooth out the starting area. This will give you some areas to build and ensure that you have that early on. That's primarily important if you're using the auto place base function. And then the start state, what kind of technology do you want to have access to? We're going to leave things at the default because we want to start with only the minimum technology that is available to us. And then as we progress through the game, we will have access to more advanced technologies through farming, machinery, and then finally the magic age. So with that in mind, let's hop into the gameplay. Now that we've created our new map, let's briefly take a look around and again, just get an idea and a feel for the size. You can see we've got a huge amount of water over there. It looks like a desert or mesa type biome over there. Plains over in this direction. And of course water, you've got a river winding throughout. Lots of different areas, some very hilly, mountainous type area over there, as well as in this region as well. So a lot of different terrain there, and you can see if we want to expand out, it's going to cost us a certain amount of money to do that. But first thing we need to do is we need to figure out where we want to put our base. So very first thing, build your base. This will be our beginning storage, as well as basically our hub of operation, and give us our beginning workers. And the way we want to determine where to place this is we want to be nearby food, as well as a few of the basic resources. Grain is great food. Apple trees, great food. There's also pear trees around somewhere. There will be, let's see what else we've got. There's cotton for later on. We'll use that. Herbs, of course, stone will be very important. So trees and stone are your two most important resources at the beginning. Grain as well. Let's see what kind of terrain. Now I edited the map a little bit so that we wouldn't have the huge height fluctuations in the beginning area. And you can see it's fairly flat, a little bit of rolls here and there. But overall, fairly flat. And I wanted that to get us started, but you can certainly have a lot of fun with the height maps here and make things as difficult on yourself as you want. So the first thing we need to do is come into the build menu, which is in the bottom left-hand corner. Go to buildings and build our base. So right now, this building, I'm going to place it in an area where I think it will be good for storage in the early game. But then as we move around, there we go. That should be pretty good because we've got plenty of trees around. We've got food nearby, and as well, we've got stone nearby. All right, so now you can see it spawns in 4 workers. So we're going to have these workers get busy. And let's see. This worker, I'm going to have him taking wood straight to the base. Now, for right now, the base is the only place he can take it. Same thing with this guy. And we're going to have this gentleman working on grain. And then finally, our last worker is going to be gathering stone. So that's good to get us up and running. You notice in the top left-hand corner, we have a few very important items that we'll want to keep in mind as we continue to grow our town. So we've got 4 out of 4 capacity right now. We started with 4 workers, and until we build some more houses, we can't spawn in any more workers. So in order to build our houses, we have room for 4 houses right now, and right now our happiness is at 0. Okay, so we've built our base. Let's go ahead and move that goal out of the way. Next thing is to build a house. We need more workers. So let's go ahead and see what it's going to take for those houses. We're going to need 15 wood, and you can see we've got enough for 2 houses right now. So we're going to go ahead and place those. And I'm going to start sort of I'm trying to keep in mind as much as possible a network system of roads that I want to use running throughout the area. So we'll start out with our 2 houses. Okay, so we've built our house. Check mark on that. Now we need to create some workers. You can see that opened up space. 2 workers for each house, or each time you upgrade a house, you get 2 additional worker slots. So right now we have 4 more worker slots, and let's go ahead and spawn a couple of workers. We can do that in a couple of ways. You can use the build menu, or you can see you've got a hotbar down here at the bottom where we could spawn one in as well. For right now, we'll just use the build menu. We'll go to workers, and we only have 1 available, but you can see in the future, we're going to have some different methods of transporting items and goods. All right, so for right now, let's go ahead and spawn in. We're going to spawn this guy in right here. The herbs we don't really need right now. And I'm going to spawn this other guy in right over here next to the stone. We're going to have this guy take the stone back to the base. And again, that's the only place he can really take it right now. We don't have any other production buildings. But you have a couple of options whenever, actually you have more than that, whenever you are selecting workers. You can, if we select this new worker, we can have him move around the map. I can left click on him and then right click on any tile on the map and he'll move to that tile. Another option is I can simply right click on what I want him to harvest. And in this case, it's going to be apple trees. And you can see it in the bottom middle part of the screen. It says bring apple to nearest. And right now, that's going to be to a house. So essentially, he'll just bring it to the nearest location that fits what he's trying to do. Or another option is for us to right click on the item we want him to produce. We can hold down the right click and then drag over to the place we want him to deliver it. Okay, for right now, we don't necessarily need to do that, but that's what I've been doing with some of these other workers, and that will be more important as we get our way forward. Okay, so let's now go ahead and just right-click on the apple tree, and we're going to have him come over and start to work with the apples. So now that's going to give us 2 types of food that are going to be delivered straight over to our homes. So right now, they're going to take the grain. And right now he's going to actually take some grain over to the base. I can have him take it straight to the homes And the apples, you can see every time we deliver apples to our homes, we get gold coins. And if we take a look up in the top left-hand corner, right now we have 34 gold coins. So he delivers an apple. There you go, 2 more gold coins. And that's how we're going to primarily make our coins, is by producing goods, whether it be food or other items, and then selling it to the houses. All right, with that out of the way, we've created some workers. We'll get that moved on, and then we need to build a path. This is where we start to look at the road network system that I was referring to, or at least the beginnings of one. So a footpath, you can see it costs a little bit of wood to do, but we got plenty of wood right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with one running right through here. Okay, that's plenty to satisfy the needs right now. Now, the paths are important not just for the visual fun of doing them, but you notice as the workers get on them, they move much faster. So that's why they're important. There are going to be other types of paths that we'll get into later on with things like carts and wagons and so on that will help out with them. But for our manual workers, then the dirt path or the wooden path is the way to go. Okay, so now we need to build a lumber mill. So we've got lumber production, but right now it's all going to the base. Okay, what I want to do now is let's take a look at our lumber mill. Do we have enough to build it? Do we have one worker slot? Yes, we actually have 2 right now. Again, top left-hand corner, 6 of 8 capacity right now. So we have that. Do we have 15 gold or yellow coins as they call them? Yes, we have 50, so we're good there. We got plenty of stone. And then we've got the 20 wood. So yes, we can create our lumber mill. So I'm actually going to put our lumber mill right over... Let's put him right over about here. And we're going to spin him around. You notice that his output is currently on the top side. We're going to spin that around to the bottom. And we're going to get him sort of snuggled away in this corner as best we can. I don't want to put him too close right there. Let's see, where can we put this guy? If we put him right here, yeah, that's pretty good because it might give me an opportunity to use a chute. Now, we're going to have some fun in this playthrough. I'm not going to spend a lot of time worrying about maximum efficiency and closest distances and all that kind of thing. This is for fun. The time I've spent, what little time I've spent in this game up to this point, I've noticed that it can be a very relaxing type of fun, and that's the way I want to keep it. So we're just going to have some fun with this and not worry too much about where things are placed. So you've got chutes. This is our first sort of automation, our first version of an assembly line type of item. And it comes along with a few other things. We've got various forms of scaffolding, which will enable us to sort of even out the terrain whenever we have some height issues to deal with. You've got wood arches, wood bridge, that'll help us get across the water. And then you've got some pillars and benches available. So now that we have our lumber mill, we need to make sure that we have it supplied, but we also need to tell it what we want it to make. So in the bottom right-hand corner, when I click on it, we'll go to Select Recipe, and then we'll go to Planks. We're going to want it to create some planks. So there we go. That part is taken care of. Now we just need a worker to supply it with the wood that we need. Actually, we're going to take this guy. We're going to leave this guy alone for right now. And I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to have him supply the lumber mill with wood. Okay, so that's going to change what he's doing. Now, had I left both of these guys at simply, deliver the wood to the nearest location, they would start going to the lumber mill in all likelihood. So let's see what they do. Okay, yep, this guy is still going to go there, but now this worker has moved over. He's actually moved over because it's much closer for him to go here, supply the lumber mill with the wood, and now we can create the planks. So what we need to do now is spawn in another worker. Okay, and the purpose of that worker is going to be to collect some planks. We need to now take the planks that we have and distribute them. So for now, I'm going to have this guy take planks over to our base and our main source of storage. So this time I'm going to use the hotbar the 1 key, spawn a worker right in front of the building, and I'm going to have him, oops, mess that one up. Let's try that again. Select our worker. There we go. And that should, oh wait, that is not what he is supposed to be doing. What happened to our worker here? Obviously, I didn't get that done the way I needed to. So let's try that again. We're going to take him and have him go from the lumber mill. There we go. It's really tricky in order to get these workers routed exactly right, because sometimes it doesn't quite work the way I would like it. But now you can see he is filling up the warehouse or our main base with the planks. So now that production is up and running exactly the way we need it to. Very nice. All right, let's take a step back. And the first thing I notice as I look around is we are at maximum capacity for our workers. So we need to build a couple of houses or begin to upgrade houses. And that's the next item on the list. So we can increase our population limit by doing just that. We're going to go back into the build menu. And we're going to do another house. Again, 15 wood will take care of our needs. We'll go 1 and 2. So now that's the maximum number of houses we can get at this particular point in time. Okay, that's good. And now we'll actually pay attention to the upgrading that they want us to look at. So if we click on a house, we notice that we're in a level 1 house in the bottom right-hand corner. And in order to upgrade it, we need 10 yellow coins, or gold coins as I'm probably going to call them most of the time. And we need 5 planks. Well, we have a good production of planks going on right now, so no problem at all. We can go ahead and left click on that, and we're ready to upgrade. Now we have a level 2 house. Let's go ahead and do that with all of our houses while I'm thinking about it. Now we're at level 2 houses, and we are in good shape. Let's go ahead and click off the upgrade house and see what it wants us to do next. Next, it wants us to upgrade the base. Well, we're not quite ready for that just yet. Let's go ahead and work on our footpath a little bit. Again, I'm trying to set up the basics of a road network. As you can imagine, I'm leaving space right here for more houses or maybe another building or two that we'll be getting into here shortly. So in order to upgrade our base, what do we need? Well, we need 20 gold coins. Well, no problem there. We need 10 planks. Well, we're almost there. Here in just a moment, we should be at that number. 20 stone is no issue, but then we need some happiness. We need to get up to 4 happiness. So it's going to be a little bit before we get to that, and that is perfectly fine. So this guy is currently delivering to the houses. No problem. Let's come back into our build menu, see what other kind of buildings we've got. We've got a grain mill. Now, a grain mill is going to be a way to take our grains here that we are currently harvesting and taking it straight into the base, but it's going to be a way to upgrade that grain into flour, and is going to be much better for us overall. All right, I think I want to keep it right about here. Again, everything pretty close proximity. So now we have a grain mill. So what are we going to do here? We're going to select a recipe, and we can go animal feed or flour. We're not ready for animal feed right now. So we're going to do flour. So now this guy is, instead of going over to the base and storing all of the grain in there, he is now going to take this into the grain mill. So very nice. He's going to take it to the nearest production building, which happens to be the grain mill. So now we are making flour. And that flour, what do we do with it after that? Well, we need another worker, because we're going to need to take, just like what we did with the lumber mill, we need a way to take the output and move it to either storage or sell it to houses or whatever the case may be. And in this case, we want to sell it to houses, and we are in great luck because that ain't going to take very much for us to do. So let's go ahead and spawn in another worker. Again, we'll use the build menu and we'll spawn our worker in right there. And now he wants to know what we need him to do, and we need him to distribute the flour. And you can see he doesn't have very far to go with this, and he's got a nice path to work with. So he's just going to take this to each of the houses, and lo and behold, look at our happiness go up. And also notice the number of yellow coins we're getting. We're getting 5 yellow coins every time we deliver this, as opposed to the 1 or 2 that we would normally see from some of these other items. So we're upgrading our money input. Okay. Going back into our base. Now we're ready to upgrade our base. We meet all of the requirements. We are now at level 2. We can now build 4 more houses. We're now 4 out of 8 instead of 4 out of 4. Excellent. That is exactly what we're looking for. So right now, everything is going great. And hopefully this very first video in the series has given you an opportunity to see some of the very beginnings of the game and some of the starter gameplay. As we continue on with the series, we'll be progressing through additional levels of automation and, of course, more and more production buildings. We've seen a couple of those to this point. So we're going to leave it here for now. Thank you very much for joining me. And stay tuned as we will continue Factory Town.